We carefully crossed the threshold of the next arch, because in front of us loomed an imposing white marble monolith with 3 columns of writing etched in gold. We stood on white marble stonework as we read the sentiments. Centered at the top, blazoned Hall of Justice, with the balanced, empty scales of justice under the title. We read, "This is a hall of remembrance for the heroes who have fought for justice throughout the ages. These brave souls fought all forms of criminality in their communities, be they civil or military. Here are the noble people on whose shoulders rests the entire framework of all justice systems through their loyalty, honor, dedication, and commitment to the law, and for going above and beyond serving and protecting all peoples. Here are the ones whose name may not be remembered, but whose ideas shine as bright as stars throughout time immemorial. They include all aspects of the justice system: legislators, law enforcement, the courts, and the correction systems, including all the supporting staff and their families. Thus they are blessed forever now and forevermore, in deepest gratitude for their fortitude and bravery." In the right column, the scales of justice were balanced with a large star on each of the scales. It read, "This is a hall of remembrance for the people of the community who saw something, said something, and did something. Here are the ones who bravely risked their lives and livelihoods to draw attention to or correct an unbalanced situation. These are the warriors of truth, justice, and equality under the law, the ones who marched and demonstrated or quietly supported those who did. Thus they are blessed forever now and forevermore, in deepest gratitude for their fortitude and bravery." The left column was decorated at the top with a balanced scale holding 4 stars on each of the scales, reading, "This is a hall of remembrance for the hero animals who fought alongside those in the battle for justice. Here they are remembered for their unlimited courage, bravery in the face of overwhelming odds, and faithfulness to the light. All life has been blessed by their being born to love, trained to serve, and their loyalty to the end. For these qualities, this monument is a small symbol of gratitude for their continued path of service. Thus they are blessed forever now and forevermore, in deepest gratitude for their fortitude and bravery." We walked around the memorial and along a white marble-paved pathway behind it to find that there were no hanging portraits or any type of artificial light. All of the light came from the floating holograms of each honored person or animal. It was like walking through hundreds of billions of stars. As we touched each one along the way, the subject introduced themselves, even the animals, explained why they were being memorialized and for what they had accomplished. Much further in, at the end of the marble walk, we came upon a doorway with the massive Corinthian columns supporting a crossbeam with the words "Equal Justice Under Law" set in gold. Then the daunting set of sculpted bronze doors swung inward to a very spacious room reminiscent of a courtroom. We entered the gallery and walked down a center aisle through empty benches and made for the public observers. Ahead of us were the usual council tables, the well, and the bar. However, instead of the bench for the judge, at the far end of the room was a dais where a throne was positioned facing the door. We walked forward to the railing between the council tables and the gallery. On it were crows watching our every move. Their intelligent eyes shone brightly while boring deep into our intentions. On the dais were pillars on either side of the throne with a purple veil hung between. The red and yellow-robed figure on the throne wore a crown with a square crystal similar to the clasp at her throat. In her right hand was a sword, and her left held an empty scale. She openly appraised us and then said, "My name is Atalante, or Lady Justice if you prefer. This is my double-edged sword of justice, and this is my scale of justice. How do you plead, or how may I help you?" Ina Iekia found her voice first and stated, "We are on a journey of mastery and enlightenment. Would you please share some of your knowledge about justice with my friend here?" I nodded in silent agreement, while hoping that my knocking knees weren't audible. She set down her sword and scales. The judge thought for a moment and then explained, "I like to think that my underlying philosophy is that every action has a reaction, or, if you like, every decision has a benefit or consequence to balance that decision. In other words, cause and effect. Although the law seems to be strict and unyielding, it is not entirely unchangeable. It's like the bamboo plant, strong but significantly flexible. It can resist a great deal of force without snapping. Although solid and unmoving, it can bend and adapt to the circumstances surrounding it." She looked away as she paused in thought. She adjusted her robes and looked behind her throne. She said, "You see those two pillars that are on either side of my throne? One is for the law, and the other is for liberty. Part of my job is to find balance between the two. It is not easy, and it is debated every day. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that, say, a small infringement on liberty were worth the large gain in security. It could be justified. If not, it would not be. In other words, we are speaking of the benefits of security, or the law, being balanced against the loss of liberty. Most importantly, restrictions on liberty should not be taken lightly, and only on rare occasion for a rock-solid good reason. I like to keep in mind these words of two of the founders of the American democratic experiment. There's a famous quote of Benjamin Franklin that says that those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. President Thomas Jefferson wrote that he would rather be exposed to the inconveniences attending to too much liberty than those attending too small a degree of it. There are so many others who have broached this subject. President Abraham Lincoln said, "Our reliance is in the love of liberty which God has planted in our bosoms. Our defense is in the preservation of the spirit which prizes liberty as the heritage of all men, in all lands, everywhere." In addition is this quote of President John F. Kennedy, saying, "And is it not peace, in the last analysis, basically a matter of human rights? The right to live out our lives without fear of devastation, the right to breathe air as nature provided it, the right of future generations to a healthy existence." President Barack Obama said, "We need to keep making our streets safer and our criminal justice system fairer, our homeland more secure, our world more peaceful and sustainable for the next generation." These are what I aim for, a world more peaceful and sustainable for the following generations far into the future. We all understand that life on either end of the political spectrum is intolerable. On the left is chaos and the possible injuries arising from it. On the right is authoritarianism that no one can tolerate for long, for all life thrives on freedom. So on we argue to find equilibrium. The biggest challenge is the ever-changing landscapes of the law and society. Perhaps tolerating some insecurity is the cost of living in a free society. As history shows, liberty, once lost, is rarely regained. However, most important is the question of what is justice. Debates on security and liberty are of interest and may provide the foundation for the definition of justice. I define justice as the fair and equal administration of the law, without corruption, avarice, prejudice, or favor, to all citizens, while affording them the greatest freedoms allowable. The letter of the law, the smallest details of it, must not be used to break the spirit of the law, for no one is above the law. Justice matters at all levels of society in innumerable ways. So in closing, I would advise you to look at all situations with clarity and consider everything before making a decision, not just from your heart, but from your heart guided by your head. Weigh the pros and cons, and use your logic and reason to ensure that the outcome is equitable to all parties involved. In fact, that is my blessing to you, my friends. Clarity. Insight with clarity will take you far along your path, and you will find others to form strong, well-thought-out relationships. Be logical where it is most advantageous, but, if need be, go to professionals for their learned opinion. Now, my stairs are directly behind the same door you entered. The moon has rings of jade, for it is the stone that signifies wisdom gathered in tranquility and harmony. I thank you for coming and hearing me out. It is not often that I have someone who listens and just listens without arguing, as is the general nature of my acolytes. I have enjoyed having you here. Safe journeys. We thanked her in return, bowed to her light, and turned to leave. The crows flew off bar railing and onto the end of the public benches along the central aisle. When the doors swung open, we were facing the moon stairs. The crows flew out to sit on both sides of each step. The light from the stairs reflected the rainbow colors of the white opal onto their onyx feathers and black eyes. The beauty of the sight took my breath away. As we continued climbing, the crows eventually returned to their courtroom. Ina Iekia motioned to me to sit on the bench and dug into her pouch, pulling out the elven biscuits and nectar the magician Aharon and his partner Tatia gave us. As she shared them with me, she said, "We are about to meet some not-so-endearing energies, and I want you to be strong enough to face them. You can't do that on an empty stomach. Here, these are not only delicious, but fortifying in a lot of ways. Pack a punch in a small package. If we eat half, we'll have plenty more if we need them later." I asked, what do you mean? Not so endearing? Are we in danger? She said, "Not really, but you may be frightened as you meet death, the devil, and disaster. On the other hand, you will also be meeting really wonderful energies like balance, hope, and success." She looked at me. "You know, there's always a door to return you home if you don't want to continue. Don't pressure yourself if you're not into the climb." No, I say, I'll keep going. What's an adventure without some discomfort, right?" She smiled and drank some nectar. "I thought you would say that. Let's keep going then."